Aloha, namaste, sitaram, assalamu alaikum, shalom. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night to each and every one of you. This is Dianne Ojar, and welcome to the Divine Soul Journey. I want to say it's always a pleasure to come to you every week and to bring these amazing people in our community who are such humanitarians. And today, I also have someone who's been serving this community for so long. And you know what? We don't look at people as being victims. We look at them as being heroes and survivors. And he is none other than one of those people. As a disclosure, you know this is not about religion. We're not here to convince anyone whatsoever. We respect everyone's faith and beliefs. So, without keeping you any longer, I would love to introduce this gentleman I've known for quite a number of years. We're not buddies, but I see him all the time, and I've known him for quite some time. And his name is Michael Ballard, and Michael is always around with his cameras. He loves to videotape. He loves to do a lot of photography and videography, and he's always there willing and ready to serve. Well, I want to say welcome to the show, Michael.
Thank you.
So, Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, okay, I will. Let's see. 60 plus years on the planet, born in Toronto, Canada, blessed to have enlightened parents, so they took me out for food from other cultures starting at the age of 4. I got introduced to chopsticks at the age of 4, and the owner of the restaurant, this was the 1950s. Wow, that's really interesting. You would do that. So
I love chopsticks. I love eating with chopsticks.
Well, as my parents pointed out, many people eat with them, not forks, knives, and spoons, so you better pay attention. So it was nice to have parents try to paint and offer a broader canvas that life was just not what happened on our street or our country, but in the world. So that really helped me with my point of view, or my POV. So, pretty ordinary life in the 1960s, grade school, high school. But in high school, one of the things that really impacted me was I got a diagnosis of a health issue in my digestive tract, and it really hurt. So that got me fascinated. And in my family, if you have something unfortunate happen, it's okay to feel beaten down and victimized, but as my dad would say, you're not allowed to live in the land of there's nothing you can do. That's normal. It's healthy to feel victimized when something big happens, but don't live there. Just visit. Ask for help. Investigate what you can do. I don't care if an expert told you there's nothing you can do. There's always something you can do. So that was one of the major pieces of the framework of our family culture was it's okay to get stuck. It's okay to get run over by life, but pick yourself up, dust yourself off, ask for help, and get on with things. So that was a real blessing from a mindset point of view to have that. And then I graduated from college in sales and marketing and got a job in sales and marketing. And I was a retail store installer. So if you owned a new store, I might be the guy that showed up to do all the fixturing for you. And if the merchandising team was on time, I'd say goodbye. If they were behind, I'd get you started, and then they'd show up and finish. And that was a real interesting lesson in team building because I had to hire temporary staff. And they only worked for me for a half a day to 4 days on a big store. So I learned to communicate real well, discuss safety, and that productivity was the ultimate goal, but safety had to be first. So very pleased that I had a great year with no accidents. And then I got into retail consulting for 9 or 10 years where I met some really spectacular people. Imagine paying your staff 60% more than average because we do more than average in my store, so why shouldn't my staff benefit from doing more than average? What a great way to lead your team. Pay them what they're worth. High expectations. It showed me that if you set high expectations and provide the training and the space and the mindset, many things are possible. So 2 awesome daughters, both adults over 35 now, because, when you're 68, your kids are usually older, and they're off on their own. And one grandchild from each. And I started my company, Resiliency for Life, back in the 80s because I saw that mindset and skills made a significant difference both in business and in health and education. So it's taken me all over North America and Bermuda and Singapore and other places. So it's an exciting time to be alive.
Beautiful. Well, first of all, you don't look 68, Michael.
Well, I would tease that my legs and my arms are 20s. The brain's attempting to be wise and be over 50. And the midsection feels like it's 112 some days.
You know what?
And a lot of sunscreen.
Yes. And you know what? It's the humor and that you can laugh with it, about it, is what keeps you going.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's what keeps you young. Because honestly, Michael, you don't look like 68. You don't behave or talk or feel. You have so much energy in you bouncing around. But again, inside, we never know what's going on, right?
Exactly. Well, it's partly genetics, blessed with good genes. All my grandfathers, both grandfathers and my dad had a head of hair on them. My dad's head of hair at 79 would have made a 50-year-old jealous. And so there's that, there's sunscreen, and then the fuel you put in the tank, and then the attitude in which you live your life.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's interesting. And you mentioned photography. I love to help make people relax in front of the camera. It's not my main career, the mental health piece, the resiliency is, but the photography and the videography, it's great to get people to be authentic in front of the camera. Now, you've seen me at events where the people in front of the camera are very comfortable doing it because they've done thousands of hours already. But I've also worked with people who haven't been in the camera except for a few pictures when they had to for school or weddings and anniversaries. And to have them relax and be authentic and show their true spirit and convey vital messages, that I love to do.
I can so resonate. I've had people on TV shows who would just lean over after and say, my goodness, they were so nervous. And this is years ago, and they said, I feel like I'm in a coffee shop just having coffee with you.
Yes.
Because this is what it is. We didn't script anything you're going to hear today because that's not what we do.
Exactly.
Really and truly. And we've had people who come on the show who has never been on a show before. And of course, they're so nervous. And you just have to get them to relax and let them just start talking. And then when they start talking, you can't get them to stop, actually, to tell the truth. To get them to wind up at the end, they just go on and on. And it's a beautiful thing because you're helping them. And it may not be your main source of income. But I'll tell you, it is definitely the door that can be opened to so many opportunities. And you meet incredible people. And it's fun. It's fun. Actually, videography, photography, it's actually very challenging to stand up all the time. I mean, been there, done that, especially if you have health issues. And I know that for sure and for you. However, it keeps you going. And behind the scenes, it's a lot of work as well.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So first of all, I want to say on behalf of everyone, and we don't have to date this, I just want to say Happy International Men's Day to you. Why? Because, every day should be International Men's Day for everything you have accomplished, you've gone through. And you are definitely an example because, with this is not where I was going with this whatsoever. However, you spoke about mental health. And I was having a conversation with somebody from India to put in a book together. And you know what, Michael? I'm going to actually let him connect with you to add your story into that book. I'm not coming to think of it because I was speaking to him about that to compile that together. And this is what we want to do. We want to share people's story, and like we're going to do today. So let's talk about, some of the challenges where you want to start with this. So tell us, you are a survivor, a hero in this, because to survive anything, you have to be a hero. I believe people underuse that word. They either overuse it or they underuse it, not in the right context. So, so let's talk about that. So let's talk specifically about, as best as you can, the message you want to bring across to our lovely audience here. I'm here with Michael Ballard, who is, again, when I saw him yesterday, and you were talking a little bit about yourself, I was like, you know what? I really have to apologize to Michael because we really haven't connected to say connected. I mean, I've known it for so many years, but this is a time and a moment to have a conversation and to spread that.
And
so tell us, please.
When the timing is right, the timing is right. And so the
Absolutely.
timing is right.
So let's see. So what happened? So tell us what happened in terms of...
So I would like people to consider, I'm not saying answers, but I would like you to consider that to lead our best lives, we have to practice our awareness of self and others. And so I want to go back in time to when I was 5, I had a concussion. And boy, talk about the biggest headache of my life. It was amazing. Well, amazing later, not during. But for 3 days, I faded in and out of consciousness. It was 1959 or 60, and x-rays were not as accurate as today. And as I was coming back to consciousness often, they didn't figure I was extra serious and didn't require brain surgery to relieve any pressure. But what I noticed was I got a roommate. Now I'm a 5-year-old little kid, blessed to have 2 loving parents and 4 awesome grandparents. But boy, I just wanted the lights turned off. Could everybody whisper, please? And I want a sip of water. And my poor parents got interrogated because they wanted to make sure they hadn't thrown me down the stairs or something. And my poor mother, why was she letting me ride the bicycle? He's 5. It's a nice sunny day. Why wouldn't he ride the bicycle? But what we figured out later was Michael, for 5, had legs more like he was 12 years old, and I could go like the wind. But what I got out of that was my roommate, who came about 6 hours after I was in, he also had a concussion from hitting the front of his head within a half an inch of where I was, my incident. And yet he didn't want quiet and the lights dimmed down. He yelled and screamed and shouted nonstop. Where was his dad? Where was his grandparents? Where were other grandparents? Well, this was the 60s. You just didn't catch an airplane home from Florida, Arizona. Dad was in Europe on business. It took a couple of days back then for connecting flights. So after almost a day and a half of this kid screaming and shouting, my parents managed to get me a semi-private room down the hall away from him. But what left its mark in a positive way was it left me with the fact that 2 people having virtually an identical issue could respond so differently. So there wasn't a lot of 5 and 6 and 7-year-old kids back then that were intrigued, not to judge it, just to go, wow, we both have the same issue, and wow, how do we handle it?
Wait, Michael, wait a moment. I want to make sure I understand this. You're 5 years old, and this is the realization, conclusion. You analyze this whole situation at the age of 5 to realize that someone else have both similar, but yet it was different. The behavioral reaction at the age of 5, or this was later on?
Probably within a year.
That is incredible to have that awareness, because we all know that our soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it, it's old school and it's an old soul. So it carries a lot of memories and wisdom and so forth, whether people want to believe this or not. And if you're listening to this show, I'm sure you believe this, because for a 5-year-old, they always say to become an accomplished pianist, for example, it just doesn't happen overnight. So the wisdom that you have at a 5-year-old is way beyond your time. Even your growth, as you say, your energy, your growth, your comprehension of life, your understanding, the way you articulate things, you analyze things, was beyond your age group. So good for you.
Yes. So it made for an interesting childhood, I have to tell you. And not in a bad way, just it made life even more interesting. And so fast forward a few years, I got to be blessed to be able to have access to Shaolin martial arts, Shaolin Kung Fu training.
Oh, nice.
And my martial arts teacher was, now, this is not about fighting. We're not here to have you learn how to fight. To protect yourself, to stay safe, yes, that's one of my missions. But I want you to internalize what you learn for your inner you. If we were a psychology group, we talk about your inner locus of control. Well, I just want to talk about your inner world. And so Lauren, my sensei master in the dojo, in the teaching room, he was only 29, I was 13, but I felt that he was one of the wisest humans I'd ever met. And he had the courage to say, in my culture, there's nothing like this, because he had Western European culture. But in this culture, they teach these things totally different than I've found anywhere else. And I also took some martial arts from Japan as well, and they look at it in a similar but different way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here to teach you how to strengthen and make your inner world stronger and more flexible. And it was a remarkable 4 years. And unfortunately, his wife got very ill, and they had to close up shop because it was small town Ontario, 1970s, and nobody would drive up from the big city to keep the club going. But it taught me so much, gave me so many gifts, and it was about strengthening my inner world, making my inner world more flexible. And he showed us through fighting as the metaphor that if somebody's angry and they punch at you, why would you receive angry words or an angry punch? Deflect it. And I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my daughter, my oldest daughter and my son, they actually did karate as well, and it's a discipline. And it's a form of the discipline, and it's not for everyone whatsoever.
No.
But
No.
I believe all children should go through a period where they should have at least a month or two, or a couple months, or semester, if you want to call it, in the school system for that for discipline.
Years, but
yeah. Well, I mean,
even a couple of months. And so when we had in our third year, he discovered through phone calls from the parents, one of our members was using his new knowledge to be a bully. He called him into the middle ring. You were given the gift of training. Yes, your parents pay for my time, but I have to pay for rent, for cleaning, and for use of the space because they have to pay heating and insurance for this building. So you've taken the gift and you've muddied it, you've sullied it, you've disgraced it. And then the Sentai master didn't hurt the young man, but he threw a fake punch and just tweaked his nose. He threw a fake kick and just tweaked his ear. He threw a fake punch and just grazed. He didn't hit him, didn't hurt him, just grazed his T-shirt by his belly button. And the kid could have been deathly hurt, any one of those three, never mind all three. And he said, I choose to have the power and the force to protect, not to injure. You are no longer allowed here because you've used something that was meant for good for bad. You need to go home and reflect. Your parents know what was going to happen tonight. Leave. And he took the belt off him because you don't deserve to wear it. So
yeah,
it was a very profound lesson to see somebody drummed out for misbehavior that was not a one-time incident, but been going on for a few months.
So let's talk about that for a moment. And this is what we're saying. No, guns don't kill people. Okay? People kill people, words, action.
Yep.
And this is what this is. And we all have, and I can tell you right now, we've all been given gifts and talents and been blessed with that. And it's how we choose. We all have the same power. We all given the same, portion, share to a certain degree.
Yep.
But some, and there is, the good, the bad. There's the yin and the yang. There's, the voodoo and there's hoodoo, and which is good and bad. And it's what it is, again, based on beliefs and culture and in different backgrounds, is what people choose to do with it. But as a humanitarian, as a human, we're here to do good, to make our lives better. However, there are many people who have thrived on success the right way. They've worked hard, they earned it. And then there are many people who have earned power and success in the not so right way. However, again, that's their karma they will have to deal with. And us as human beings, we don't know. We can have two people standing side by side, like you said, with a concussion, and two different behaviors, two different backgrounds. We'll never know one has a not so good, karma, they're building karma, the other one has done what it's supposed to do. So again, we can never tell the difference. So who we associate with and who we speak to and who we admire. And envy, as you know, is one of the root causes of people always being steered the wrong way, because we want what everybody else has. But that's not the kind of power we want. So again, like you said, we can fine tune, like it's a radio dial, fine tune to the station and to get that sweet spot and see if that works for you. So power, I have an event I do called Reclaim Your Power, Live Your Passion.
Right.
That's what you're here for. So power is not to be, fooled around with, misconstrued, to, just ignore it. It's there for a reason. So thank you for bringing that up, because that's a lesson to learners. Say, everything people have is not for you. It's not everything is for me. What is for Michael is for Michael. What is for you is for you. Does not mean I can't learn from Michael. Doesn't mean Michael can't learn from me, or we can learn from you to share knowledge. So we're not here to hoard.
We could have a shared gift. Maybe you play the piano at the professional level, and I'm a good amateur. It doesn't mean that I'm inadequate. It just means that I don't have the same level of talent in me, no matter how many hours I practice. And speaking from experience with piano, I never got past grade 6. I put in the hours. I just couldn't get past grade 6.
It's just not for you. It's just not for you. Don't matter what it is you do. It's just not.
But if I'm invited to your house to play Christmas seasonal songs, and you have that grumpy aunt, you get that grumpy aunt to sit beside me, and my gift is I can get her to laugh and enjoy herself 9 out of 10 times.
That's true. You have that gift and personality. So let's move on. So what are some of the challenges that you had? Because you've started since you were 5. Started with the challenges of that accident. You're a kid, and then you move further on, and things happened.
As a teenager, I got the challenge of a chronic illness with a bout with my large intestinal tract, and it hurt, and there was bleeding, and it was bloating, and it was yuck. So we finally got a diagnosis about a year in, and the medical professional I saw, who was a digestive tract expert, a gastroenterologist, he told me, Michael, I said, so what can I do to help this? Make it better, make it go down, make it go away. Oh, there's nothing you can do. I have to say to your listeners and those that follow you, that's one of the most dangerous phrases you can ever give anybody. And it went against everything my parents and my grandparents taught me. You can visit the land of nothing you can do, that headspace, that feeling, but you do not live there. Do not give yourself permission to live there. So I went to a new university that was opening up near me, and went to the librarian, and the librarian's just not somebody that works in the library. They typically have a master's degree in library sciences. They're an expert. Before we had Google and Google Scholar, we had librarians with library science degrees, and they are amazing people, and they still exist all over the world. And I went to her and said, here's my issue. I'm looking for health research on how to cope and maybe even thrive with a chronic. Oh, Michael, in the last 2 years, this information's coming in, and you're talking about something near to my personal heart, and that's all I'm going to tell you. Follow me. So she'd already read it for her own use. And I found research on mental health and physical health. If you did certain skills, you could reduce your symptoms and intensity of symptoms and frequency of symptoms by up to 20+%. And also good news, decrease the cost of dealing with your chronic illness by 30+%. Now, we're not talking a small little university. This is from Harvard. It's been going on. At that point, they had research right back to 1915, and this research was 1970s. And within a year, one of the researchers wrote a book, and mindset was one of the key pieces of dealing with chronic illness.
That's right.
So it took me a couple of years, but then I went 3 years from. What was interesting was the research. Some of it was identical to what I learned in martial arts. Breathing skills was one of the keys I'll never forget. And managing your energy, one of the keys I've never forgotten. And so that became a real game changer. I didn't get it under control until I got to college. But then I went 3 years with no symptoms. And when I go to my annual meeting or annual appointment with my medical people, you have no symptoms. No, I'm following the protocols from the Harvard Medical School Mind-Body Clinic. Oh, yeah, we know about that, but we're never going to do that. And I found out because, at least in our nation, the doctors aren't paid to do that.
That's correct.
They're paid to diagnose you and manage it, not make it go away, which I find really sad, but that's another topic for another day. So that became my mantra from a parent as I went from adolescence into youth into adulthood was, it's okay to visit the land of nothing you can do, but do not live there. Ask for help. Look for help. Look for the answers. And when I worked as a retail expert with bookstores, there are books out there by experts, PhDs, professors. That's important. But there's also books by people with lived experience. That's important. And then there's those that are journalists that have written about these things. That's important. And then we have crossover. Maybe they're a journalist, but they've got a master's degree in science. So there's a whole host of, be careful you don't listen to just one of them, because what works for them might not work for you. So you have to stay safe. But for me, mindset and skills to manage health are huge. Fast forward, I'm 27, I got a cancer diagnosis. A few days after surgery, the bad news is still the bad news that I have cancer, but the worst news is it was in 4 locations, stage 3. Uh-oh. The good news out of the bad news was the doctor could have been a stand-up comic, and he said, if you want comedy to help cope, I've been told I tell stupid jokes, so I said, please do. He said, so the bad news, it's scary, it's enforced plot. I know you're realistic. You got a will made on the day of diagnosis that tells me you're taking this very seriously. But the good news is you've got the slowest, stupidest cancer we've ever seen. We know about it, but it moves like a snail. So yes, it's spread, but this has been going on for 3 or 4 years, Michael. So we think we got it all. We're going to start chemo for you nonstop for 10 days to site in the region of where the 4 locations are, but we think you got a good crack at going the distance. So again, mindset. My doctor to talk mindset. Imagine you go to university for 9 years to be a surgeon, and somewhere in the last 3 months of school, medical school, he finds out that in another country outside of North America, they have better surgical techniques to deal with bowel and kidney cancers. He goes back to school for 6 more months, 9.5 years of school. So I was blessed to have a doctor with a mindset that at the time, he was the only one in all of Atlantic Canada. There was one other doctor in the province of Quebec and one in Ontario. There was only 3 in the country at that point, and I got access to him. Mindset. My family physician was off on medical leave due to an emergency of surgery, and my doctor filling in on what medical people call a locum, a new medical graduate, had said, Michael, I'm phoned around. I found a surgeon who's got advanced surgical techniques. You need the best. Again, mindset, attitude. So I have been blessed to have people, some say I attract it, who have a mindset that's pushing the envelope. Let's do our best, and what's better than our best? Who else has got something even better? So that's probably one of the biggest gifts I was given from my parents and from those that I had in my life was, what's better?
Absolutely. So one of the things I want to add here and mention to everyone who's here with us today, and thank you for joining us. We're here with Michael Ballard talking about his incredible journey. Not incredible in the sense that it's like, oh my gosh, Michael, but incredible in the sense that he has learned so much, so he's teaching us wisdom, and that's why we're here. But one of the things recently started to do which fascinated me was the fact of understanding the brain, the different parts of the brain, the amygdala, the thalamus, and so forth, and understanding, or the frontal lobe, that when certain things come together like memories, because everything is information. And when we think of something, we have a thought, but by the time we say it out there, or put it out there, or write it down, we're planting those roots. And we have to be very cautious to what we do. However, I urge everyone to go and learn about the brain, because the brain uses up about 20 to 25% of energy, our daily energy, because it does not store anything. It converts the glucose into energy, which
Yes.
The brain is the engine of our body, not the heart.
Yep.
So we have to shift our mindset and talk about the brain and how the brain, my graduation song, I was thinking about this today. My graduation song was The Impossible Dream. And it took me years of, didn't really bother with it until I started journeying out into certain things. And then, my girlfriends at school, I went to a convent. And we talk about, the impossible dream. But the impossible dream means I am possible. I can do this.
Yep.
It's an attitude.
Yep.
So learn, discover how the brain works and how a memory works, because it's all about the information coming through your body. Now, on the other side of that is the fact that you know as well as I do, is either you accept it, not just accept it and do nothing about it, but work with it. And you're here for a reason. And Michael and many, many, many of us, really and truly, we have a destiny, we have a mission. And without walking the walk, we will never be able. We could be cocky, we can be an idiot, we can be some other thing, words I wouldn't use here. However, because we walked through that journey, we're able to now be an example, a resource, which is what Michael is right now, a resource to say, hey guys, I lived in a time where it's not like this. We didn't have this. Life was different. We have so much we have access to now, and yet we're worse off, not better off on many occasions, than we were before. So what I believe, and many are saying, is we're on information overload.
Yes.
And what do we do with that information? And we want to listen to everyone. And that's our problem. We listen to everyone, but not to the right people.
Exactly.
Now, Michael, before we go any further, I want to do something very special for you and our audience here. If you choose to be open about it, you will get a little taste splash of it. If Michael is open to it, it's okay, Michael. You don't have to. But again, this is all about energy and vibration. And, maybe Michael doesn't need any energy boost. But, however, he's human. So even if it's not, you're fine. And it's preventive, could be your immune system. If you have a request, could be your neck, could be if you have physical pain, perfect. Physical pain, measure it from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest pain level. Or it could be emotion, or it could be something, a chronic. It could be anything along those lines, the body system, emotion, like I said, a health issue. Choose a request. One request. And I'm going to, like, if you're lying down, awesome. Don't say anything out loud. If you, Michael, you should be sitting down. The rest of the audience, if they are, if you're sitting down, that's fine. You can, when I ask Michael to say his name, you can see your name, because you will get a little splash of it, but Michael, it will get towards Michael. So, Michael, do you have a request that then I'll guide you along?
I think, I know that I have a pinched spinal column in the bottom third. Okay. So that causes my toes to go a hint numb, and because it pinches the nerves and that affects the circulation. So I'm still blessed to have doctors and my foot expert are impressed that I have excellent foot care health and foot care for skin and muscles and everything else, but I don't wish that to age because of this. So I'm looking for a little lower back healing, so that my toes and balance stay intact for many more years. Okay. So right now, do you have if you can measure it, which is always the easiest, do you have a pain level between 1 to 10, which is 10 being the highest in the area that you have chosen? It's about a 2, but it's there all the time. Okay. So that's good. Now, I like I said, first of all, to let you know that there's no guarantees. What you put into this, if you listen to my guidance, you will get out of it, right? And also know some people get instant relief in one shot. Whether you believe or feel it's zero and nothing is happening, trust me, things are happening, because some people are more sensitive and some people are not so sensitive. And again, Michael, just know that, this can be, and maybe it's an ongoing session you may have to have, but I want you to experience what it is to experience in terms of whatever you feel, and we can have conversations about that. For those who are listening, you choose an area, and please do contact us at dsjshow2020@gmail.com to let us know if you felt anything, and if you want to share your story as well. So, Michael,
what I'm going to ask you to do is, plant your feet on the ground. Now,
Okay.
if it's in your toes and that right now you can actually cross your leg up, put your leg up so you can touch your toes. If not, mind is a powerful thing, and is where you put your mind, you will get your healing as well. So not necessarily that you have to break your hands, and if you can't do it, to cross a leg to reach, or whatever it is, the area you choose, that's fine. Now do know that although the healing and the blessing, which I am not responsible for, this is not me doing it. Please do understand.
Right.
It's through me. It's a gift that we have to share with humanity. Is the fact that, know that where things can happen. And definitely measurement is key. And it can also help other parts of the body. And if you're not sure, if you really can't figure out where you want, you can always leave it up to heaven to decide, because sometimes I might think it's something else and something else, but it's something else that I need before we get to that point, right?
Sure.
So that's what it is we're looking at. So I'm going to ask you to just take one hand and put it on your lower abdomen, where we have our little gut, belly there, and the navel, our belly button here. That's one of the energy centers that we have. Now, I don't know if anyone here knows about chakras. And Michael, if you know about chakras, do you know anything about chakras? There's 7 chakras.
Not enough.
Okay, well, if you do a little bit, that's fine. But there is an energy wheel, which is called the chi cycle, the chi channel, which is, it goes up through, it's an imaginary, if you know about acupuncture, meridians, and so forth. But it goes from the groin area all the way up to the crown and comes down into the white space at the back. And that's an energy cycle, which actually, if you have blockages in those areas, and you and I should have a conversation offline about this, that's where blockages are. And if your root chakra, you must have heard about that, the whole soul houses, the different names for it, if that's blocked, then definitely that's something that will definitely be blocked, right? So this is what we're looking at. So I want you to close your eyes. And again, if you don't know, if you can't put your hand, and be comfortable, please, Michael, because I know you have a lot of restrictions. But if it's your toe, if it's your stomach, or wherever it is, or if you're not sure, and we also say, heal your heart, and it melts all blockages. So this is some of the things that we're talking about. But it doesn't matter. You can choose and have an intention for request, but know that where you put your mind, that is where the healing is going to be. So this is going to be very simple, yet very powerful. So first of all, I have to check with the divine to begin with to see if I have permission to do this to Michael. So just give me a moment, okay? Good. Thank you. It's not my virtue. It's not my healing. Just remember that. So Michael, if we could just take a few breaths. Okay, and you can just follow me. You don't have to answer. Just stay in the moment so you know how to breathe and relax. And, if you have, this is not about religion, everyone, but if you have, a source, a higher being source that you resonate with, you can call on them. You can call on God, divine, Mother Mary, Jesus, whoever you is. Or if not, and you don't believe in that, that's okay. You can call on the sun. You can call on the moon. You can call on the stars. Just an energy force. That's what it is, right? But definitely so. I will call on our heavens team. Now, in saying that as well, just relax and breathe. I want you to visualize, yes, the memory. And if your monkey mind goes a little monkey mind, just tell it stay quiet and go to your lower abdomen. That's where you want all the energy to be stored. And it's okay. If it's not uncommon for your mind to go racing all over the place. But if you can control it, that's good. So I want you now to just visualize a light coming through your head, your crown of your head, through your body, and into the area that you chose. Could be your feet, your stomach. You have to understand the different parts of the body is connected to different parts of the body. So yes, that's why Michael is talking about his stomach, so forth, and it's affecting his toes, and it's all connected. So I'm going to, in a moment, and you might hear me in silence for the moment, but you're hearing the music. Now, the music you're listening to is Love, Peace, and Harmony by Dr. and Master G. Shah. It's a very, 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 very powerful healing song, energy and vibration. You can just lie and sleep with this. It relaxes you. So this is the reason why we use this song. It's very, very powerful as well. So Michael, I just want you to breathe. I just want you to visualize. I'm going to say one or two things in Mandarin. I'll tell you what is in English. Very simple. And we'll also do a forgiveness practice. So here we go. How means hello. It also means all is good. How? Dear divine, dear Tao, dear source. Tao means divine source. It's not Taoism. Thank you. They're all the heavens team. The Michael Heaven team, we call on you. Please come. Heaven team could be, Mother Mary, the Buddha, saints, Jesus. Depends on your faith and who you believe in. Or the moon, the star, the sky, whoever. And of course, those are outer souls as well. We call on you. We call on Michael's original soul. And Michael has two souls. So do I. So do everyone. Whether you choose to believe that or not. We have the original soul coming back from the time he was a thought in our heavenly being's mind. And of course, he has a soul in this physical body, which I call the 100 years body. So then we also want to, and Michael, be comfortable as you can. It's okay. So this piece. And then we want you to now know, I'm going to ask you to say Michael in your mind is fine. Ask all the treasures in your lower abdomen to please activate. You have been given gifts and treasures. You don't know that, but I do know. And just say activate, please. And I'm going to activate please. That. So, and you can say all this in your mind as well. So I'm going to also activate my Tao hands. They're my Tao hands, my Tao healing hands, and my Tao Dadai, as well as the Tao Bay calligraphy, the Love, Peace, and Harmony calligraphy field, the Tao anxiety and depression. Tao just means the source. And all the gifts and talents that I have. We can't thank you enough. The 10 Ta's, the greatest qualities. Thank you. Please activate. And please, we love you, honor you, and appreciate you. Gratitude is key. Be compassionate. But we're also going to do a short forgiveness practice. So there are all the souls in all realms and lifetimes who Michael and his ancestors and descendants may have hurt, harmed, done anything wrong. We ask for forgiveness. And all the souls, thank you, and all the souls in any lifetimes or realms who may have hurt Michael and his ancestor descendants, we give forgiveness in any capacity. Please know all debts have been canceled. We owe nothing to anyone. Thank you. The reason why we do that is because 50% of your blockages is due to your ancestral doings. So now the fun starts. Dear Divine, please offer a blessing as appropriate. Michael, say your name 3 times. You could say it in silence. You could say it out loud, your full name. Say it 3 times. Everyone else can say their name 3 times as well. We thank you, we love you, and appreciate you. Please offer a blessing, like I said, as appropriate to Michael, to transform any negative blockages, messages, information, darkness in his soul, heart, mind, and body, which we refer to as a Shen Chi Jin. That's just a Mandarin word, which is his whole body from head to toe, skin to bone, into love and light. And Michael, just imagine this golden light coming into your body and just lighten up your body as well. Although it's, your request is a very particular area. And just have the love and light and beautiful messages and information. Blessing starts. I'm just going to do it in silence. You just continue to visualize light in the area that you chose, Michael, and breathe and smile. Everyone smile. Like just breathe, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Bow our hands, bless in the end, bow hands rest. Michael, you could put your hands in your prayer position if you choose. However you choose to give gratitude and thanks for your belief, your faith. I'm going to end it this way. How means all is good. Thank you, Divine. Thank you, Tao. Thank you, Source. Thank you, Heaven's team. Thank you, our treasures, our souls, all the souls that came today to help Michael for his request. We can't thank you enough. Thank you all. The Tao hands, Tao healing hands, Tao the die, the calligraphies in the fields. Thank you, Master Shah. We're totally grateful to everything in threes by thanking. We appreciate you, we love you, and we're totally grateful. Take some deep breaths, Michael. When you breathe in, you breathe in the good energy, and when you breathe out, you breathe out the toxic. Like when you breathe in, and as you breathe out, you could say, heal me. When you're doing your meditation and so forth, and those are some really cool wisdom and tools you can do it. And then we end by saying Gonsong, Gonsong, Gonsong. Gonsong basically means that when the heavens team and the souls come to help, they have to return back home. So saying thank you, and it's yes, all is well, and you can return back to your humble abode. That's all it means. This is real. And you just take a deep breath. So, Michael, how do you feel anything? What's your feedback? You know, you may have, you may not. What is your feedback?
Absolutely. My back feels much more relaxed.
Mm-hmm. How's your toes? Because your back is connected to your toes.
Of course.
Can you wiggle your toes a bit?
Oh, always have.
Okay.
So it's just that they feel a little more in tune with the rest of me.
Okay, so you're a little bit more relaxed.
That's a big plus. That's a big plus.
And those are blockages, by the way. Everything is blockages, right? So how is your body feeling? Your upper part of your body, like your heart, is there? You feeling any tingle? Or anywhere part of your body might be tingle. You want to burp. You want to go to the bathroom. All these things are blockages. Itching. My nose always itch. My ears always itch. Little tingle, heat, coolness. All those things are healing modalities. So this does work. And this is just one session. So even when you finish, you can also get up and move around for the energy to move around as well.
Yes.
And that's kind of what it is we do. And this is how we serve. Because we all have gifts and talents. People have gifts and talents in healing. But healing is also sharing. And this is what Michael is doing today by sharing his story. That's healing as well, because you don't know what can, and it could be in knowledge, like I said, sharing the wisdom that he's learned. It doesn't necessarily mean we all have gifts and talents, but it comes in different forms. So Michael, I want to ask you, you know it's always fun when we're talking, and I do invite you to come back and we can chat some more at some point in time.
Lovely.
So what would you like to say to our lovely audience who's been with us for some time, and what would you like to say to them?
I would say that sometimes our ego gets in the way of our lessons to learn. Our ego gets in the way of our healing. And there's a quote that I came across during my first battle with cancer, which was the severest one. And the quote is, in the midst of winter, and in Canada, our winters can be 20 to 40 below Celsius. In the midst of winter, I finally found that there was in me an invincible summer. So I would say to those that listen and wish to move forward in their lives with progression and added wisdom, is what is your invincible summer all about? For me, it was discovering that whether I lived or died when I was 26, 27 with my cancer, I was going to be victorious emotionally and spiritually. I was not just going to roll over physically and die, and maybe I would die physically, but I was going to go out with a spirit of championship, that I could emotionally learn and grow through my surgeries and my chemo and my journey, and I could connect and engage with my loved ones to tell them how important they were and affect a healing, even though I was going to leave 50, 60 years earlier than I wanted to. But I wanted a healing emotionally and intellectually and spiritually. And it's quite remarkable when you open yourself up to that, how suddenly those that are there to nudge you along, pull you along, or show you the path from their perspective, how they start showing up. It was just, wow, amazing.
Absolutely beautiful. And we give credit and acknowledge your father for being the one who gave you that, hero-like, that's not the word I'm looking for, but gave you that drive, that push, the food of life, the food of words. Not sure if that's right, but it's coming out that way. If it wasn't for your parents, not allowing you to give up, regardless you're 5 years old, get up there and fight for this.
Yes.
As well. I mean, I know it must have been, also challenging for your kids, but you went on to have a family. That didn't stop you, regardless of what. And you have to continue to live. You have to learn. And I love what you said in terms of your quote. We don't realize it because it's cold. Yes, it's cold. There's a yin and yang to everything, and we don't see it. But like you said, the invisible summer, the sun that's lighting within the winter, because there's still the sun. You see, the thing about it, the winter is cold, but the sun still shines. And if you stand up in the sun, you still will get the heat.
Yep, exactly.
Right? It's just the wind. And we tend to not appreciate that warmth that is still coming through, because if we didn't have that, it would have been worse. Your body would feel it. So we have to train our minds, again, coming back to the brain, to learn how to accept and live with this. And the mind is very powerful, where we sometimes would no longer feel the cold, and we will learn to appreciate the cold.
Yep.
We have a lot here that we should be grateful for.
Yep. Agreed.
But we still complain. Although, Michael, I will tell you, I'm not a fan of the cold still. I came from a warm country. Okay? And the warm countries have their challenges too as well, with the floodings and the rains and so forth. But it's how you choose to accept it. What you choose to do.
Yes. And people confuse their spirit with their physical selves.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Once you understand that you have two souls, there's one from ancient years that comes with the wisdom, because your job here is to make it better and fix whatever it is happened in the past. And like I said, a lot of the challenges you go through is actually due to your ancestors not doing the right thing the right time. But again, we have to remember they did the best they can do with the tools and resources they have. We have much more here. So what are we waiting on?
Yes.
We're just sitting, waiting for the magic pill. I call it the magic wand. There is no magic pill. There's no magic wand externally. It's the magic pill and magic wand within, like Michael had said many times earlier. It's within.
Yes.
So I urge you to listen. I urge you to learn. I urge you to educate yourself. Don't believe it's impossible. Impossible means I am possible. I can get through this. Michael and many of our guests are examples of that. It's not the end of the world. If you were no longer to be here and to transition, you wouldn't be here.
Yep. And with the mindset of what can I learn from this and how can I gain wisdom and heal, even if I physically have lived only 6 more weeks, yes, I could be sad for the relationships ending soon, but I also could give hope and praise and honor to my parents and my then spouse. We got that far together in a very beautiful, loving way.
And now you have 2 beautiful grandchildren as well, that you can enjoy this and, again, share this wisdom and the story for whatever challenges they go through in life, because believe me, the next generation will be even more challenged than we were, and it always will be, and how they look at it and how they
Yes.
view it. And that's the best wisdom you can share for your children and your children's children, to leave in your legacy. That my grandpa, I'm not sure what they call you, Grandpa Michael was, and my great grandfather, your father,
Yep.
and your parents were survivors, because they also had to go through what you went through as a child and survive through all of this. I was a sick baby, so I understand that.
Right.
And we're all survivors. However they cope with it, they cope with it. So on that note, Michael, I would like to say thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Thank you so much for being with us. I want to thank our audience for always, embracing us, supporting us, sending love. And I truly hope that one day, we can have you share your story on, and just like I said, connect with us on dsjshow2020@gmail.com, because you never know who you can inspire like Michael did and all our other guests. And it's a beautiful thing. We have to embrace our life, because we chose our life, we chose our parents, we chose our family, and we chose to come back.
Right.
And because we chose to come back, we need to do what we need to do, which is best for you. Not for everybody, for you. But if you can make your mark, plant your flag, your pole, whatever.
Right.
You'll make a huge difference. So on that note, everyone, I want to say thank you again, Michael. Thank you for everybody. We love you. We honor you and appreciate you. And I want to say Assalamu alaikum, aloha, namaste, sitaram. And you know what? Just have a beautiful day. Make someone smile like Michael always does. Make everybody smile and laugh, because that is the secret. That is the secret, and make someone day. So thank you all for listening. And until next time, this is Dianne Ojar and Michael Ballard saying thank you all. Blessings to each and one of you. Stay in love, peace, and harmony. Goodbye.